In the fall of 2008, Oakland County, Michigan was on edge over a series of missing persons reports. 3 local women and a man had disappeared over a 6-week period in August and September. When the first body was discovered, the case officially became a murder investigation. Mary Chambers' lifeless body was found by 2 high school students in a field. Behind this now abandoned house, located off a lonely stretch of Squirrel Road, her throat had been cut and both her eyes were missing. After obtaining a search warrant, authorities discovered the bodies of the 3 remaining missing persons in the attic of this house. All had been killed in the same grisly manner. Records showed the house belonged to a Mrs. Laura Summers, although it was quickly determined she had passed away over a year earlier. And so the police began a massive manhunt for her only child, Randy Lee Summers. However, before they could locate him, Mr. Summers had surrendered himself to the authorities.
Randy, did you kill those people?
Accompanied by his psychiatrist, Dr. Alan Thiebaud.
Did you kill those people?
Dr. Thiebaud,
No comment.
How long did you know about the murders?
Randall Lee Summers was charged with multiple counts of murder and several lesser offenses. When he was arraigned at the Oakland County Courthouse 2 days later, Randy Summers looked like a changed man.
Going live to camera A in 4, 3, 2.
A plea of not guilty by reason of mental defect was entered on his behalf.
No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. Based on patient confidentiality, I will not be answering any questions today. I have, however, prepared a statement, a short statement, which I will read to you now. I am Dr. Alan M. Thiebaud, Doctor of Psychiatry, and I'm here today in support of my patient, Randy Lee Summers, who voluntarily surrendered himself to authorities for questioning. I met Randy through his mother, Mrs. Laura Summers, who was also a patient of mine and a diagnosed schizophrenic. After Mrs. Summers' passing last year, Randy came to me suffering from severe depression, and during follow-up treatment, I determined that Randy Summers suffers from the most severe case of personality dissociative disorder, or PDD, which I personally have ever seen.
Detective Lieutenant Gary Renault had a simpler explanation for Randy Lee's actions.
I'm no psychiatrist, but there was a point in my interview with Summers where my line of questioning made him quite upset, and he changed in an instant. It was like looking into the eyes of just pure evil. It sent shivers up my spine.
And thus began one of the strangest cases ever to be found in the annals of the U.S. justice system. Dr. Thiebaud had provided the court with video recordings of his sessions with Randy Summers, both pre- and post-hypnosis.
I can't believe I'm talking about this stuff, Doc. No. I mean, I've come a long way. I mean, once you heard the sound the cat makes when it's on fire, you want to hear it again. That's some funny shit right there, Doc.
In my first sessions with Randy Lee Summers, I discovered that he had been violently abused by his father, starting at the age of 6 years old. In his teens, he had experienced blackout episodes where he would awaken in surroundings unfamiliar and having no knowledge of how he had gotten there.
Okay.
I've never been hypnotized. I'm not even sure if I'm susceptible to hypnosis.
You are completely relaxed. Listen only to the sound of my voice.
did anything to make your father angry?
I went to bed. I had a bad dream and I went to bed. And then I was running down the hall. I get into bed with Mom and Dad. And Dad's so angry, he's screaming at me. And then he picked me up and he threw me off the bed. And I broke my arm on the dresser. It hurt bad.
I began conducting hypnotherapy sessions in the hopes of uncovering the source of these blackouts. What was the nightmare about?
It was a bad dream. It was scary. It was a bad dream. I don't know.
Could you tell me more about the dream?
I don't wanna remember.
Randy, I need you to speak to me about the dream.
No, it's bad. It's scary.
I know it's scary, but you must tell me more about the dream, Randy.
That little peckerhead don't want to remember, Doc. But I'll tell you what it was. What it was, I set the neighbor's cat on fire, and that little shit-ass baby Randy, he pissed himself for weeks over that, man. You should have seen it.
And who am I speaking to now?
I'm Steve Parker. Hey, Doc, can I get a smoke off you?
Help yourself.
Oh, you ain't got any menthol?
No, that's all I have.
Oh, man, I love the many fresh taste of menthol.
I found that Randy had created an alternate persona named Steve Parker in order to protect himself from his father's rage. What can you tell me about Randy?
Randy? I can tell you, Randy takes it up the ass. That's what I can tell you about that little faggot. Of course, it wasn't until Randy started drinking that we moved up to bigger game. You see, that's when I took over. I controlled the hands. I controlled the machine. You know what I mean?
Steve, do you remember being afraid of your father?
Afraid of my father? My father was a dragon. My father was awesome. He was a dragon and my mother was the whore of Babylon.
Did he hurt you?
My father didn't hurt me. And he well could have. He could have crushed me like I was a fly. My father was a dragon. What aren't you getting? It's Randy's daddy would beat him all the time. That little crybaby sat there and took it up the ass.
When the Steve Parker personality was dominant, Randy would have total amnesia in regards to Steve's actions. And it was my opinion submitted to the court that I stated that although Randy Lee Summers understands the nature of the crimes he has been charged with, he has no memory of his involvement in those actions and is therefore mentally unfit to stand trial, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Lynn Andrews was the lead prosecutor assigned to the case.
Well, Dr. Thabeau certainly bought Randall Summers' act. But when I watched the tapes back,
I superglued a raccoon's tail to a tree one time. I came back the next day, he'd chewed it off, man. He chewed off his own tail.
it looked to me like some bad high school theater performance.
Dr. Thabeau seemed more concerned with getting a book deal out of his sessions with Randy Summers than with the brutal crimes that were committed. A bit odd.
And how did the authorities react to your report?
Well, I knew that the authorities were basically laughing behind my back. They all felt that Mr. Summers was pulling the wool over my eyes.
You look like a drinking man. Look at it. I'm reading it in the veins of your nose. The burst capillaries of your life. Right there, brother. You're a drinker. Don't you tell me you ain't.
That he was putting on some great show.
My father was awesome. My father was a dragon. My mother was the whore of Babylon. My father was awesome. And I ain't talking like them surfer boys. They all awesome, dude. No, I'm saying he inspired all. He was a dragon. Don't you talk about my father.
was basically leading me down the primrose path, if you will.
Oh, my mother. Now, my mother, there's a woman that could look at you. You know, she'd look at you with them eyes, and they'd burn straight through your eyeballs and melt your brain like your skull was in a microwave.
Did you love your mother?
She was the whore of Babylon. Are you not listening? You ever been in love with a whore?
No, I can't say I have.
Then you wouldn't know, would you?
They did not understand how I could have been so easily fooled.
But you feel it's a difficult condition to diagnose.
Very difficult. Once the Steve personality came out during hypnosis and began to discuss the blackouts, there was bound to be some leakage between the two personas. Why did you cut their eyes out?
I don't know. Maybe I was hungry, or maybe I didn't like the way they looked at me, like you're looking at me right now.
In fact, in the first sessions with Randy, he had a major shift in his status and became much more aware of what he had done as Steve, no longer denying his guilt.
And once they were undressed, then their hands would be tied back up again, and they'd be led into the back bedroom, and that's when their eyes would be removed.
Wait, you skipped over the sex part.
No, I didn't skip it. We hadn't gotten to that yet. It was after the eyes were removed. That's when those girls were, sodomized, and not the man, just the three girls, and but then they would be taken into the bathroom, and that's where their throats were cut. I mean, that's where I cut their throats. I mean, I know I did that. I know I can see it with my eyes. I just don't know why. Why would I do that? Why would someone do something like that?
In fact, that led to him falling into a deep depression.
Fine.
And we actually had to put him on a suicide watch.
Prosecutor Lynn Andrews was concerned the video evidence might create sympathy for Randy Lee Summers.
Well, visual evidence is very compelling to a jury. And that's why our strategy was to hire the state's leading expert on hypnosis, Dr. David Offer, and to tape his sessions with a professional cameraman so that we could provide the jury with our own, more compelling visual evidence.
So I'm curious, Randy, what has the doctor told you about your condition?
Well, Dr. Thabeau said that I have, I guess, what's called multiple personality, which I think means it's where there are two personalities in the one body, I guess.
Well, when first meeting Randy Lee, he appears to be an honest and forthright individual.
I mean, I love my father. Sometimes he would drink, and when he got drunk, he hit me, and he hit my mother, and I mean, he was under a lot of pressure. I loved him.
But of course, when we're dealing with someone who has been accused of a serious crime and then faces severe punishment, we must first determine whether that subject's thoughts or motivations are honest and forthright, or whether they are simply malingering or trying to put one over on me. Because of course there is tremendous motivation for that person to appear insane in order to avoid the consequences of their actions. Very relaxed. Now, I've spoken to Randy already. Now I would like to talk to Steve. Can I talk to Steve Parker, please?
What the hell you want?
Nothing, just to talk.
Well, I just want a cigarette. Give me a damn cigarette. I don't need to smoke.
Dr. Thabeau was allowed to observe Randy's sessions with Dr. Ofer from behind one-way glass.
How do you think they went?
I think they went very well. He was able to bring out the Steve Parker personality.
Give me a damn cigarette. I don't need to smoke.
I'm sorry, I don't smoke.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't give a shit. You ain't give me a smoke, I ain't saying squat to you, you damn head shrinker.
All right, just...
See what you can do. Find me a smoke and then I'll talk. I answer all your little questions.
As well as other personalities. There was another persona that came out that did not even speak English.
Tai, di elaka, tatsauna dokai, inda, inde, inichi el, chica, kao di biwa, gushka, gushka.
I believe it may have been Native American of origin. There was the 6-year-old boy, Timmy.
So as we sit here together now, I want to talk to that person that hasn't spoken before, that isn't Steve and isn't Randy. Let's have that person come forth. Yeah. And what is your name?
Timmy.
Timmy. And yes, Dr. Opper will make a very credible witness for the defense.
Well, Dr. Thibault had the opportunity to see my first interview with the subject. And in his mind, using the exact same techniques and methodology, I achieved certainly better results. I was able to pull forth the alternate personality of Steve Parker as well as the little boy, Timmy. And how old are you, Timmy?
I'm 6 years old.
6 years old. And tell me, Timmy, do you have a last name?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's all right. So, Timmy, do you know Randy?
I don't know any Randys.
And what about Steven? Do you know Steve?
I don't like Steve. Steve's mean. He's a bad man.
Is he mean to you?
No, I hide from Steve, but he's mean to other people. He doesn't like it when you look at him. That's why I always cover my eyes so he can't see me.
Oh, well, you don't have to worry about Steve here. You're completely safe. He can't see you here. And of course, the key difference between our two sessions was my casually mentioning in the pre-hypnosis interview the fact that in alternate personality disorder, they often present multiple personalities, not just one or two.
I have, I guess, what's called multiple personality, which I think means it's where there are two personalities in the one body, I guess.
Well, see, actually, that's very rare that only two personas are present. In most of the confirmed cases that I am aware of, they usually result in multiple personas.
Oh.
So even though the results were different, it was not because I was a more thorough or a better hypnotist.
Yeah, well, he mentioned only the two.
I don't know. I don't really know that much about the field. It's just as new to me as it is to a lot of other people.
It was simply because Randy Lee thought it would be more credible if he suddenly presented himself as having more than just the two personalities previously seen.
This interview was Dr. Ofer's final public statement regarding the Summers case. 2 days later, he conducted what would be his last session with Randy Lee Summers. It began like the others, until a previously unseen persona emerged, and the session took a deadly turn.
Listening only to the sound of my voice.
My daddy was a dragon. If you were to stand in his presence, you'd burst into flames. Your eyes would melt out of your head. So that's my dad right there.
Well, I'm interested in your mother. What was your relationship like with her?
Stupid fucking humans. Your ignorant, wet-brained questions are making me weary of this whole game. And I love games. What else is there to amuse me in this bass-ackwards world of yours? I try and treat you people like children, Think of you like kids, play games, have fun with you. Like when you play peekaboo with your little baby girl, and you hide your eyes behind your hand, and then you put your hand down, and she's so surprised to see you still there. You know what I mean? And you can put your hand up again and drop it, and she's so surprised, and she's surprised again and again and again, long past the point where you're getting any joy out of fooling the little idiot. You know how that is, playing with your kids? Oh, that's right. You don't have any children, do you? At least None that survived. Isn't that right, David?
Well, who am I talking to now?
You're talking to all of us, okay? And I'm doing the speaking for everyone in here.
But who are you?
Obviously, I am whoever I choose to be.
But do you have a name? What should I call you?
Do you really not have a clue who you're talking to? Do I have to spell it out for you? My name is... Please, go into the usual. Fucking humans. My name is Legion, for I am many. Does that ring any bells?
It's from the Bible. And I know your mother was very religious.
You're still trying to analyze the situation. And that little drop of jelly you got in your skull isn't capable of it, okay? Just go with what you're feeling. Listen to your body. What is it trying to tell you right now by the goose flesh that's popping out on your arm? What's your body trying to tell you by the way your nutsack shriveling up into your belly? Fine, I'm done. I am tired of this bag of bones and meat anyway. I'm ready for a new suit. So let me show you. See if you get this. See? Are you proud? Quiet!
Randy Summers' death was ruled to have been caused by an encephalitic embolism brought on by self-inflicted trauma. Dr. David Ofer received only minor scratches from the incident. In his book on the case, Dr. Alan Thibault restated his diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder, believing it was one of Randy Lee's multiples who had committed suicide.
Dr. Ocker, I have a few questions. Since your final interview with Randy Lee Summers was posted online...
I said I'm not answering any questions regarding Mr. Summers' death. I will not speak to any allegations from wet-brained religious fanatics on the subject. This interview is over.
What do you have to say about the speculations of your intense encounter?
I said this interview is over.
To this day, Dr. David Ofer has refused all interview requests. He's never made a public statement regarding his final interview with Randy Lee Summers. Although the video evidence shows us what happened during that final interview, it's the why that may never be explained by anything found in the forensic case files. I'm your host, Robert Rose, reminding you to lock your doors, check your windows, and until next time, good night.